Good morning. My name is Nathan D. And today I will be talking about the poorly managed solid waste and wastewater in Nepal cities and some possible ideas and solutions to combat this problem. In the springs of 2011 and 2012, a Nepali group created 75 sculptures made out of 1.5 tons of litter collected off of Mount Everest and displayed them in a tourist hub to raise awareness for the increasing amount of waste on Everest. Tourism is Nepal's #1 industry and could be negatively affected because of the growing amount of waste. This problem also poses health issues such as chemical poisoning from breathing, nausea, and vomiting. It was also found that farmers who utilized raw sewage for irrigation sometimes became sick with cholera, for instance. This past summer, I saw this problem firsthand and was struck by the piles of waste lining the streets and the raw sewage that was being drained into the streams. I believe that it is unfair for people to live this way when we have it so easy in our comfortable Western lives. It is necessary for all of us to at least be aware of the conditions on the other side of the world, if not doing everything we can to help solve the problem. Although some steps in improving Nepal's waste management infrastructure have been attempted, drastic change is not likely due to the poor condition of the economy. In my analysis of the problem through a few different frameworks, I came to the conclusion that small-scale community changes and increased awareness in Nepali and worldwide schools is an essential first step towards solving it. Due to significant population and industry growth over the last 30 years, Nepal has seen a high increase in solid waste output and water usage. Although Kathmandu Municipal Corporation and other non-government organizations and trash collectors have decreased the percentage of waste left in the street, there is still a major problem. In 2003, about 6% of solid waste remained uncollected, and 13% of solid waste that was collected never made it to 1 or 2 landfills in the Kathmandu Valley. Studies show that only 15 to 30% of generated wastewater is actually treated, and about 75% of total generated wastewater is discarded directly into rivers and streams. I viewed this problem through a few different analytical structures, otherwise called frameworks, to help me begin thinking about solutions. The first framework I used was an image of God framework based on human dignity. This framework demonstrates how humans have sacred value, responsibility for the well-being of the community, and to improve the community. It is important to see that all Nepali people have sacred value, and sometimes their waste problem lessens this value in the eyes of the world, and sometimes even their own. Nepali people and people of the world have a responsibility to take better care of this community on both a national and small village scale. In context of Nepal's majority Hindu religion, they believe that they are connected to some sort of divine. The same way that we can look at it from a Christian perspective, Hindus can look at taking care of the land and the people around them as improving a connection with the divine or improving their own karma. The second framework I used was the utilitarian or cost-benefit analysis framework. Two possible solutions when it comes to solid waste is aerobic landfilling and aerobic composting. This method of disposal involves biological pre-treatment of the waste so that it can be buried more efficiently and decrease leachate and polluting gases that are emitted from a normal landfill, as well as also being cheaper than normal landfill. Aerobic composting would be useful as well because 70% of Nepal's waste is organic. This method involves heat and water to speed up the composting process. Both of these methods would be beneficial solutions, but would not solve the problem completely and would be pricey to install on a large scale. Another possible method of plumbing would be to use composting toilets in homes and villages. These toilets store sewage in the ground and surround it with cement with an air vent at the top so soil can be created over time. This method would also be complicated and pricey to install on a large scale. Third, I use a community building framework which involves serving those who are in need the most, engaging in community building activities and efforts proactively, and sharing a common positive cultural value. Nepal's communities are in desperate need of cleaning up. Schools and communities in Nepal need to be better educated on the problem at hand and learn small-scale community projects that can be done to chip away at the problem. For example, installing trash cans in the streets of communities would be a good small-scale improvement. Maybe a school could have a project where they build their very own trash cans for their street or neighborhood. This is combining education with small-scale improvements. Finally, through my analysis, I have found that drastically changing the waste management infrastructure in Nepal would not be economically possible because the government already struggles in that area. Promoting positive community values for change and education of the problem is the key first step in changing the future of how waste is managed.